Yes, I got my shirt on backwards. I kind of like it. It's pretty cool. It says Jabode. Let me turn it around. Yeah. Beyonce. Beyonce. Yeah. So Beyonce made a song called Church Girl. I listened to about 3 seconds of it. Once she got talking about church girl acting naughty and popping and all that, that was it for me. I bailed out. Listen, I have my own problems. I can't judge nobody, but I am one of those people who do not ignore what's right and what's wrong. I don't ignore it. You know, I got my own issues, but I don't act like God didn't talk about that issue. That's where you go wrong, is when you just completely ignore God, then he can't work with you. Now, Beyonce talking about church girls acting naughty, we know that the people go into church to get, because we need help. That's why you go to church. But there is a time where you grow. You don't go to church and then you continue to act like the world. You separate yourself from the world. That's the whole idea of the spirit and the flesh. You separate yourself from it. So when you listen to the song, you're thinking, oh, there's women who are in the church who, when somebody says you're in the church, it means that you grew up in the church, you're still going to church, you believe in, you're a Christian, you believe in the biblical ways, your parents are rooted in church, you're in the church. You know right from wrong. That's somebody who's in the church. Oh, them people, they're in the church. You know they're not going to come to the club with you. They don't drink. They don't smoke. They go to church 3 times a week. They're prayer warriors. Those people are in the church. They fast. They pray. That's some in the church people. We're not talking about somebody who just happened to, walk in the church and then they start doing all this gyrate. No, it's a whole separate life. And they don't wear tight, like real church people don't wear these tight clothes. Them women aren't shaking their big behinds. They don't wear nothing tight. They don't wear nothing revealing. Everything is loose fitting. Their skirts are all the way down to their ankles. Those are some real sanctimonies because they know that, especially if they're black, they know that they're thick and a man can look at them and lust in them. It's very easy to do. God talks about lust all the time, especially when it comes to a woman. Do not look upon her image. There's scriptures that go directly against what these people are doing. Don't do it. And the reason is because God, he even says, look, it is not good for a man to be alone. You know what I'm saying? And he said that because men are horny all the time. He said, it's not good for you to be alone, so I'm going to give you a helpmate. You're like, I know you want to have sex, so I'm going to give you somebody to have sex with. That's why he said it's not good for a man to be alone. That's why this whole feminism crap is just completely against, the word, because all these women, they want to go off and do their own thing and rack up their numbers. And the men are totally rejecting these women now. It's just like, I can't be with you. Like, I can't marry you because I can only sleep with you. That is something else that is opposing to the gospel. So this whole thing of a church girl going into the church and shaking her butt, that means one thing. She wants to attract men. And God talks specifically about women and how they should adorn themselves. He talks about not wearing makeup. He talks about not wearing earrings. He talks about this stuff because he knows that lust is everywhere. And it's very easy to get caught up in the lust. And it starts at a very early age for both sexes. Once that spirit gets on you, and that spirit could come from your father and your mother and the way that they live. It's just like an alcoholic. If your dad was an alcoholic, next thing you know, the son is an alcoholic. If the mother was in the streets, now the daughter is in the streets. It's the same spirit, just going from one person to another to another. That's why it's called a generational curse. So you gotta not when you hear the stuff, you gotta be able to discern it. And, some Christians are trying to go, "Oh, it's okay that Beyonce said that." Listen, Beyonce is not a church girl. Listen, you're thinking, "Oh, Beyonce's a church girl because her mother was in the church, her aunt's in the church, and all this other stuff. She learned how to sing in the church." No, no, no. What song does Beyonce make that glorifies God? What song? See, these R&B singers, they think they're slick. They'll put a gospel song at the end, and it'll be pure crap. You went and got something from the Clark sisters and put that in there, and then try to say that this is a church song, and then talk about, you're in there shaking your behind and all this other stuff. That song is complete blasphemy, and I'm telling you, don't listen to it. It is 100% evil. It is blasphemy, and she knows she's the leader of millions and millions and millions of young ladies, and all this, all the single lady crap when she's married. There's a lot of stuff she talks about that's completely opposed to what the gospel is talking about. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not hating on Beyonce. I don't know her. I don't have nothing against her. But when I see you leading people a certain way and you're aware of what you're doing, then I got questions for you. Like, you're going to pay for that, right? You know you're going to get old and die. That's what's going to happen. You're going to pass on. And when you do, you're going to meet the very God who you've been opposing for your whole musical career. When God says dress modestly, please tell me, all this other stuff you're doing and gyrating. What does that have to do with the Bible? This is not somebody who's leading people to Christ. When does Beyonce hold a prayer meeting? What person can say my soul got saved because of Beyonce? Like, I've drawn closer to Christ. Like like Beyonce helped me usher the Holy Ghost into my system. I live upright. What scriptures does she quote? When does she sit down with her people, open the Bible, and says, "This is what the Lord says"? She can't do it. She can't do it because her and the people who push her, the machine that she is, and push all this music and all these images in front of you, those people worship a different God. Those people do not worship the Christ King, Yeshua. They do not worship the God of Jacob and Isaac. They do not worship him. They don't. They don't even come close to worshiping him. And which is a real shame because she did come up in the church. But once she saw the offer that the world wanted to give her, just like, God on a mountain, and Satan said, "Hey, I will give you all of this if you just kneel to me." Well, guess what? God says that we're going to go through things just like he's going through them. So do you think that Beyonce wasn't, she's the same thing. Be Christ-like. It's the same thing. Somebody said, "I'll give you all this if you'll just, kneel before me." She knelt. That's what she did. She knelt. And so she dresses how they want her to dress. She comes out and dances and flings her hair and all this other stuff how they want her to. Wears all the jewelry, puts on all the makeup, says all the things, does all the hand signals that they want. She is the leader of the pack. So you can't look at her as an example on how to get to heaven. Because listen, heaven and hell is inevitable. There's not a maybe. There's not a might could. There's not no, these are real places. And they are there waiting for you. And the thing about it is, you think that heaven and hell is, oh, I have to travel up and I have to listen. As soon as you die, you appear in one of these places. As soon as you die, you get judged, bang, there it is. One of these places, you're going to meet your maker. There's going to be a conversation. And if he doesn't like what he sees, it's over for you. That's it, and that's all. So you can listen to this garbage if you want to. Listen, I don't buy her music. I don't download it. I don't subscribe to it. I don't, nothing. The last Jay-Z song I listened to was the one where he had the cartoon in it, and I liked it because he was talking about the reality of a black person's life, you know, and I got with that simply because it's the truth. No matter what we do, we're still in the box the way society looks at us. So that I completely understood. But when you're talking about, like when Jay Z had a shirt on said "Do what thou willeth," that was when he really lost me. I was like, "Do what thou willeth." That comes from Aleister Crowley. Aleister Crowley worships Satan. I can't. I can't do that. I can't go in that direction. I can't play around with those spirits. I can't, you got on a "Do It Thou Willeth" shirt and you made it very plain who you represent when you have that shirt on. So no, I don't mess around with these people. I'm completely, like, nah, because look, I'm poor and I'm okay with it. God feeds me, you know what I'm saying? I bought a quesadilla today. You know what I'm saying? I got some Canada Dry, which I don't drink that often. I'm good. I don't need to own bottles of whatever and these big companies and I don't need to be a billionaire. I just don't care. So I'm just telling you guys, when it comes to this music, be careful of what you're letting into your house because your little girl is going to be running around talking about some church girl and whatnot. And when she hits puberty, listen, and you're taking her to church and all this, and you're trying to get that spirit in her. But when she goes home and she's in her room, she's dancing around to Beyonce, guess who's going to win that battle? Because she's dancing to it, you're dancing to it, her friends are dancing to it, her classmates are dancing to it. All the kids her age that are related to her, they're all dancing to it. She goes to church once a week to hear the gospel. You're not having prayer meetings every day and stuff like that. No. So who's winning? Who's getting more inundated, or who's inundating your child more with the information? So from age, whatever, when they can recognize a person and recognize that music, they're bopping their head to that all the way up until they get into a certain age. And so they think that that is the rule of thumb. They look at the gospel as something that's in their way. They're like, well, we ain't supposed to be doing this, but I'm going to do it anyway. I'm trying to tell you now, if you don't want to lose your little girl out there and you don't want her to grow up and be single, stay single, and to be busting it open and popping it all over the place, don't listen to their music. Don't do it. Your boy Tone 202, I'm out.